Okay, this is Federalist 22, Part 4. So here Hamilton is going to be talking about the other weakness in the American Confederacy. What he says, that all the states, regardless of how big or small they are, whether they have a large population or a small population, have equal votes in this Confederacy. And he says it's wrong. And then he starts, the paragraph says, the right of equal suffrage among the states is another exceptionable part of the Confederation. Every idea of proportion and every rule of fair representation conspire to condemn a principle, which gives to Rhode Island an equal weight in the scale of power with Massachusetts, or Connecticut with New York. So see here, these are the northern states. This small area right here is Rhode Island. This is Connecticut. This is Massachusetts, New Hampshire. This will become state of Vermont later on, but it's kind of part of New York. So he says this is crazy. Instead of Rhode Island gets equal votes with Massachusetts. New York and Connecticut get equal votes. He says this is not right. We have to change this because let's see what else he says. And to Delaware an equal voice in the national deliberations with Pennsylvania. It gives the small state of Delaware the same vote as it does to a large state of Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania or Virginia or North Carolina. Its operation contradicts the fundamental maxim of Republican government, which requires that the sense of the majority should prevail. Sophistry may reply that sovereigns are equal and that a majority of the votes of the states will be a majority of Confederated America. But this kind of logical legerdemain will never counteract the plain suggestions of justice and common sense. It may happen that this majority of states is a small minority of the people. And here he mentions in the footnote that says New Hampshire, Rhode Island, New Jersey, Delaware, Georgia, South Carolina, and Maryland. These are 7 states. So they are the majority. When you consider there's only 13 states, or it says they're majority of the whole number of states, but they do not contain 1/3 of the people. He says, look, these 7 states, which are majority in number, but their population, when you add them all together, it's only 1/3 of the population of all of the country. He says, this doesn't make sense. And 2/3 of the people of America could not long be persuaded upon the credit of artificial distinctions and syllogistic subtleties to submit their interests to the management and disposal of 1/3. Let me read this sentence again. And 2/3 of the people of America could not long be persuaded upon the credit of artificial distinctions and syllogistic subtleties to submit their interests to the management and disposal of 1/3. So 2/3 of the people are not going to continue to buy this crazy thing that we have under Confederacy. 2/3 are going to be ruled, or the vote of 1/3 is going to actually deny the 2/3 their vote. The larger states would after a while revolt from the idea of receiving the law from the smaller. To acquiesce in such a privation of their due importance in the political state would be not merely to be insensible to the love of power, but even to sacrifice the desire of equality. It's neither rational to expect the first nor just to require the last. The smaller states, considering how particularly their safety and welfare depend on union, ought readily to renounce a pretension which, if not relinquished, would prove fatal to its duration. So he says the smaller states better be realistic and realize that the larger states are not going to go along with this. And this is going to cause them a lot of trouble. So it's better to be smart and go with this new constitution that at least it's much better as far as getting representation to different states. It's much better than the Confederacy. It may be objected to this that not 7 but 9 states, or 2/3 of the whole number, must consent to the most important resolutions. And it may be thence inferred that 9 states would always comprehend a majority of the Union. But this does not obviate the impropriety of an equal vote between states of the most unequal dimensions and populousness, nor is the inference accurate in point of fact, for we can enumerate 9 states which contain less than a majority of people. So here he comes and says, again, look, in most of the important laws that needed to be passed in Confederacy during the Articles of Confederation, you needed 9 states to vote yes. Remember, to make an amendment, it has to be unanimous. All 13 states have to say yes. But on important issues, anything other than amendment, 9 states would be enough. Here, Hamilton says, look, even if we add New Hampshire, Rhode Island, New Jersey, Delaware, Georgia, South Carolina, and Maryland, and add New York and Connecticut, they will still be, these 9 states will be less than the majority of the population. So he says, keep this in mind. Okay, I'll continue reading, but this does not obviate the impropriety of an equal vote between states of the most unequal dimensions and populousness. Nor is the inference accurate in point of fact, for we can enumerate 9 states which contain less than a majority of the people, and it is constitutionally possible that these 9 may give the vote. Besides, there are matters of considerable moment determinable by a bare majority, and there are others concerning which doubts have been entertained, which, if interpreted in favor of the sufficiency of a vote of 7 states, would extend its operation to the interests of the first magnitude. In addition to this, it is to be observed that there is a probability of an increase in the number of states and no provision for proportional argumentation of the ratio of votes. So he says, keep in mind, we're going to have new states join the Union, and under the law, the way that the things are set up under the Articles of Confederation, things will be chaotic, things will not work right. Because the representation is skewed, it's not proportional, and it is going to create problems for us. major problems. So we'll go to the next one. Oh, before I forget, one of the things that, no, let me explain this in the next video because it has to do with the idea of unanimity. The fact that when they want to add an amendment, they have to be unanimous, or all the 13 states have to say yes. So in the next paragraph, we'll talk about